Welcome to the All in Kosciusko podcast, where we explore the people, places, and progress helping to shape a stronger future for our community. I'm your host, Matt Deuel, and in this episode, we're joined by Dr. Kevin Roberts and Christi Walters from Grace College, along with Rich Haddad from the K21 Health Foundation, for a conversation about Grace's Center for Movement and Wellbeing. Together, we'll talk about what the data is telling us about public health in Kosciusko County, why movement and well-being matter so deeply to the future of our community, and how collaboration can help turn research into real programs that serve people all across the county. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Really appreciate having each one of you here. Dr. Roberts, why don't we start with you and just take a moment, everybody introduce themselves.
Yeah, Kevin Roberts. I have been at Grace for about 22 years. I'm the provost and also I'm a clinical psychologist. So where I come into this is I have my passion and interest is really in integrated care services as healthcare goes. And I also serve here locally on the YMCA board.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm Christi Walters. I have two roles at Grace. So I'm the program director for exercise science, which is one of our majors in science and math. And then I'm also the director for the Center for Movement and Wellbeing, which is part of the school's initiative for the Centers of Excellence. So I'm in my third year with the Center for Movement, but my 11th year as a professor.
Great. Thank you, Christi.
Yeah, and I'm Rich Haddad. I'm the CEO of the K21 Health Foundation. We're a private foundation granting money back into the community for, I would say, anything that impacts the health and wellness of the residents of Kosciusko County. So that's kind of the short version of our mission statement.
Perfect. So these two are probably really grateful for you.
We've had a wonderful, longstanding partnership relationship with Grace College in many ways. So I appreciate being here.
Perfect. Great. Well, we'll get into that a little bit more. But let's dive in. I'd love to hear from each of you just a little bit. When you look at the public health research and just survey data from Kosciusko County, what stands out most to you right now?
Well, I know this might not be just Kosciusko County, but recently there was an article that was published that resistance training and exercise has become the number one way of keeping cancer in remission. So it's
amazing.
Zoomed to the top of like, we should be incorporating that for all life groups. But then I think there are more studies now being done about how it's hard to understand about how to prevent cancer, but that's why, to keep it in remission. But resistance training has just zoomed to the top of all health outcomes and saying like, we have to get people doing some kind of weightlifting, some kind of movement, and it just ends up being the best way to close the gap on healthcare conditions.
Wow.
Yeah, there's two data thoughts that come to mind for me, just looking at kind of our county health. One is we tend to live a little longer than the average, but we do a lot less to take care of ourselves. So there's almost this hardy agrarian kind of culture that maybe we're continuing to be part of. So we're not doing all the right things, but from a mortality standpoint, we tend to be a little above average. So I think it's about how do we do the right things more often, more access, more opportunities, so that that will again even impact our mortality rates even more. The other is, as a rural community, we really are underserved in the professional, medical, dental, even mental health space.
Okay,
and so that's a big challenge. It's one of the reasons why we're not an education funder. But if we don't have professionals in our community serving our community, then care becomes a real challenge.
Wow. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think the other thing I would add is, our data consistently shows physical inactivity, as what Rich was getting at there is, and those factors, and there's all those community factors also play in, right? Like it's also where you eat, where you live, it's how the food choices you make. But we have been blessed in many ways to be, of the 92 counties in Indiana, to be near the top as far as socioeconomical factors. But that doesn't go to everybody, right? And so those things do play a major role. But when you think about, you cannot have a conversation, I think, about public health without talking about chronic disease. Because chronic disease is the major player in all healthcare, all of our healthcare spending.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 12% of the population using 67% of the budget dollars. Oof. And how do we treat those folks earlier?
Yeah.
Not letting them get to 3, 4, 5 chronic illnesses, because that's where the quality of life just plummets.
Yeah. Wow. Rich, I love how you said, there's a focus on doing the right things. And we know you all at Grace College are building in some amazing programs and some facilities. And Rich, K21, Health Foundation, and others have been a part of helping to support some of that. So Christi, for someone maybe hearing about the Center for Movement and Wellbeing for the first time, what is that and why does it matter in this conversation?
Sure. The Center for Movement and Wellbeing is one of our centers of excellence on campus. And Kevin and I are pretty passionate about this area of health and well-being. But this is a place where people can come in our community to connect to Grace College. At Grace, we have lots of education happening. We want to engage people in research, and we want to collaborate with community partners. And so the center serves as a place where people can come and take advantage of our programs, maybe even talk to us about ideas that could be beneficial for our program or for the community. And our goal is really just to start connecting more to people in our area, all corners of Kosciusko County, so that people can live healthier lives and discover the information that they're wanting to discover. I mean, everybody knows you can get on the internet and Google or AI anything now, but you have to consider, how does that apply to me right now where I live, and how can I take advantage of some of the things I might be learning? Well, we want people to come to this center because that's a good place for it. We're in this field, so we understand how to decide what's good information. Maybe this is a good idea, but it doesn't really work. It helps people decide and decipher through some of the stuff you see out in the world.
Yeah, that's great. Let me put you back on the spot just a little bit. So for somebody from the community hearing that, what is the access for the center, right?
I mean, you can come, we live in the Gordon Health and Wellness Center. We're right there as you come into the entrance. There's 2 entrances, but we're just right there. You can see our sign. So we have a nice big room that can do anything from assessments. I can talk about this later too, but anything from an assessment or an exercise class. We can host a seminar. We can talk to a specific group. We can host a field trip.
I would add to that, Matt, too. I don't even remember how many years ago it was, Christi. You and I had coffee in Winona Lake, and you were sharing a lot of your dreams just to get to know you a little bit. This was before the center really launched, but you've always had a vision of not only educating your students, but giving them applicable ways to contribute back into the community and to offer things for people in our community. And again, that really excited me because ultimately creating that win-win for such a wonderful institution like Grace to be able to use the education of their students in practice in a way that helps our residents was an exciting kind of early conversation. And
I'm touched you remember that.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's really neat to see the center, and when it was launched, to go, this is kind of, the reality of what I think you've had a vision for a long time. So it's great.
When I first took over the exercise science program, we were talking about someday there could be a place where our students interact with our community. And any student thrives when they're doing real life application. Yeah. So and my thing too is that, if they're here at Grace, we supervise that, we can guide that, and we can expand it as big as it can get. But it also, I think people experience Grace College the best when they come to Grace College, and then they interact with students and they interact with faculty. So I see that as the huge benefit of the Center for Movement and Wellbeing.
For sure. No, and I think that probably really might be an aha for some of our listeners of driving through the beautiful campus and seeing the different facilities and realizing, wait, there's something for me inside here. So that's great. Well, good. Well, I'm looking forward to unpack some of those programs a little bit more. Dr. Roberts, coming out of Grace, I've heard just more and more about the Center of Excellence model, right? Just can you talk to me about how the Center for Movement and Wellbeing is part of that, and just help us understand just how that connects to some of these community programs?
Absolutely. So we have 4 centers of excellence at Grace, and our goal is to even add a 5th one. So our centers of excellence are really concerned about research, getting our students involved in research, but oftentimes getting our students involved in research in our community, right? Because we want to be able to make a difference. So it's research, education, and community engagement.
Okay.
And so if you think about the Lilly Center, for example, the Lilly Center brings in over 12,000 students a year just educating them, right, about water and taking care of and stewarding our resources that we have. And then you think about that research that's done then is then applied to things around our lakes, right? About, okay, we know that this dock shouldn't be in this position because it's really hurting the water quality and it's impacting the lake water. And we also know that we want to be a part of that, right? We want to be a big part of helping make changes in our community. If you look at the Center for Literacy and Learning that was launched, we're taking students and really trying to help them make sure they're passing the state's reading tests as we get to those, or the state tests. So we really are trying to say, what can we do to make it better environment for all of our community, not just keep our resources on the hill, but how can we impact it in research and contributing to our disciplines and education, and then really engaging our community in meaningful ways.
Excellent. All right. So Center for Literacy, Center for Wellness. What are the other ones?
Center for Movement and Wellbeing, obviously Lilly Lakes and Streams, and the Gordon Center for Enterprise Development.
Okay. So looking at just those business opportunities.
Business, yes. And we've got lots of programs inside that, including, helping with taxes with the VITA program, and there's Lancer Labs. There's a host of other things that go with that.
Okay. All right. And that 5th one, under wraps for now?
It is under wraps for right now.
Okay. Can't pry it out of you today.
No.
Okay. Fair enough. I had to try. All right. Well, Christi, why is it important for us to just focus on movement and well-being together, not just fitness alone?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this question, and it helped. I think the analogy that I want to draw out is fitness is like a snapshot in a movie, right? You can see that, this might be really cool that's happening right now, but we're looking at your performance over a lifetime. That's what movement and well-being is trying to reflect. So in fitness, we can take that snapshot, and we can do that at the Center for Movement. We can go take you through fitness evaluation. We can do a VO2 max, an in-body scan, which is a body composition. We can take a movement analysis. We can use AI to look at your movement. It's very exciting to watch like some of the different assessments we can do. And then, but the goal is that we want to get you plugged in, not just taking this snapshot right now, but say, okay, can I improve my movement? If I work on my movement and my well-being now, what does that look like when I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, like as the decades go by, how am I setting myself up for this longevity? And I don't want to say like performance, but this lifetime of being able to add life to my years, like I want to have a healthy life, but I have to start thinking about that in my younger years.
Right. Yeah.
Matt, I think I might be overdue to set an appointment with the
right.
center.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like there's some opportunity for me as I age to
let's get you in there.
To have Christi evaluate as my golf swing slows down a little bit. I'll have to figure that out.
We can't lose those yards.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But I love that. And I don't want to, I just feel like I can't underscore this enough, is you are training students in these sciences how to do these evaluations.
Yep.
But you're also opening the door for community members to come in, like Rich and his golf swing, to say, help me take these next steps. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and we're trying to the Center for Movement and Wellbeing is pretty broad, because we can hit almost every age range. So it's very diverse in who we can target. And because, Center for Literacy and Learning, they're wonderful. They're targeting kids who can't read as well.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them. That's wonderful. I'm over here like, we could deal with a postpartum woman. We could deal with a youth lift, somebody who wants to learn how to lift. We can work with someone who is 80 years old. So we're all over the age range. But that's the reality of what our students are training to be. Like my students can be anywhere from, I want to be in fitness, I want to be a personal trainer, to I'm going to be a physical therapist or occupational therapist, chiropractor. So we see our exercise science in general is just so broad and wide. So the center really does fit the same model of what the major is. And now we engage our students in saying, okay, do you want to be an intern and take on learning this equipment, learning how to program, learning how to work with people. So it really gets me excited when we start seeing the success. Like I've had 3 interns this last year and they've done phenomenal, right? They're all going different directions in life, but they've all been doing just wonderful work. And I've seen them grow professionally, personally, and then just with skills, communication skills, programming skills, yeah, and I had to teach him how to use Google Suite, but
sure,
that's okay.
Right.
I get to be there for that and say, this is how you your calendar, you block off your calendar.
Some of those good life skills.
I know, all these good life skills, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Kevin, we talked at the beginning about just some of those. What are we seeing in the local data? Maybe drill down a little further for us on what do those local numbers reveal about challenges and opportunity here in our county. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say we have quite a few challenges. Our physical inactivity shows up in every survey, and it's even shows up against Indiana numbers. Which, when you look at the larger scale health information for Indiana, we tend to, in the obesity category, we tend to be in the bottom 7 in the country, which isn't great. And our physical inactivity is a big part of that. It's the food choices we make. Those are real challenges we face. And I think one of the ways that the Center for Movement and Wellbeing is, as it gets out, it's educating people more and more in our community, it's to increase that, right? It's to increase the awareness of all of those things.
Right.
But we know awareness doesn't do it by itself. It really comes down in large part to behavioral change. And it's finding those gaps in that care. So to illustrate, in my field, for a primary care physician to refer someone for counseling, and those services aren't really connected or in that office, the likelihood that they'll actually go to treatment and follow up with that is about 18%.
Wow.
And that was about 20 years ago that study was done. And then in the more recent year follow-up, it was around 10%. So what happened is the physicians learned over time that people just don't go. I refer and I care about them, but people won't follow up. And then I think it ends up discouraging them.
Sure.
And what's happening is we're missing some of these gaps. And I think missing some populations that we really want to be able to reach out to through the Center for Movement. So I think there's a host of challenges, opportunities here, right?
Sure.
It's to look at these opportunities, see where physical inactivity, see where obesity plays a role, because obesity then leads to chronic disease.
Sure. Yeah.
And how do we fill in and try to jump into these gaps? Because it's about all of us.
Yeah.
Right? It's about all of our community. And I think the center can have a really powerful role in that as being a community.
Yeah, I would piggyback a little bit on Kevin's, what we're seeing and kind of trends that seem promising and hopeful. He mentioned relationship early in our talk.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more, I would say, I don't want to say case management, but navigators that really are trying to form enough of a trusting relationship that they can help guide and direct relationally that next step in that person. I think that's a promising element that's trying to be implemented into a lot of the social services or health services organizations in our community.
Yeah.
So I think that's promising to see that, because to Kevin's point, if they have limited, capacity, I would say time, access, money, it's easy to say, I'll do it later, or they end up not doing it at all. And then, hopefully it comes down to, do I have the right maybe accountability to follow up, right? It's like we all maybe have good intent, and I'm just like everybody else. It's like, well, I'm planning to do it, and then I don't. Yeah. And so it's opportunity, it's access, and then I think relationally would be that sort of motivation to take the next step if somebody's either holding them accountable or encouraging them to do it. So yeah, it's a lot of challenges, and it's not simple. It's not just one magic pill, but
you do get a synergistic effect though with what Rich just said there. If you can pair up relationship with exercise, you get that benefit, right?
Yeah.
And that's really powerful. The biggest predictor of poor mental health is social isolation, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so when you can, you're really fast forwarding not only their physical well-being, but their mental health when you compare exercise with a friend. And that's not just the accountability piece. There's just so many elements that you're getting from that synergistically. So
yeah. So good. So Rich, coming back to you from the K21 standpoint, why is this work a worthy investment? What would you and your board say as you are kind of navigating through a number of these kinds of opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, again, our definition of health and wellness is pretty broad, but having a wonderful institution like Grace College here in our own community, how do we help them maximize the health impact in the community they serve, and that students are coming in, some locally, some from all over the world, really, in a way that's a win-win. And that's kind of how we would see Grace's really important role is a combination of what are they contributing in their mission of education, what are they contributing back to the community, and how do we help that accelerate in a way that it's a wonderful experience for the students, but the community, the people who already live here maybe, are benefiting from both the education experience and, frankly, the student energy. I mean, any of us that have been around a 22-year-old knows they have energy to spare, and we benefit from that. There's a lot of positivity, a lot of energy, and so how do we as a community really increase kind of our thriving spirit? Yes. When you integrate kind of that student energy and that student kind of hopes and dreams and clear goals and all that stuff, is so infectious, I would say. But ultimately, again, for their purpose as an educator, it hits our purpose in that, frankly, the more people that are educated at Grace College, the more professionals we'll get, because the chance of recruiting somebody from the outside is such a smaller percentage of a win versus educated here and choosing to stay here and turn around and become a professional in a health field here in Kosciusko County. So that probably is the ultimate connected point of partnership.
Yeah,
for us,
right?
Which is great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, because I think even as we consider, all in Kosciusko, which is really about our economic development, right? And connecting people, places, progress. People might be hearing of like, okay, so what's this health kick all about? But there is a connected piece, right, of what it means from our recruitment and retention standpoint. Anything else you all would add to just how you feel like this connects in the bigger conversation of our progress, of our connection with our people?
Well, I would say, back when I was a student at Grace, which is a long, long time ago, Kevin referred to as on the hill, or I would say in the bubble. We were very disconnected and unengaged with the community. And I think Grace's leadership for really the last 30 plus years has done such a wonderful job of being a part of and integrating the experience for both the students and faculty to make it part. But one of the ways they did that was open up their facilities for community benefit.
Yes.
And kind of welcome our community in. And I think that's a growing thing where Christi's center is located is a facility, the Gordon Health and Wellness Center, that is an inclusive and community invited space. Yes. And that's one of the reasons we love it. And we were so eager to kind of participate in the renovation and expansion work, is because of, I could check several boxes of why it's going to impact the community. impacts Grace and their education and their student experience, but it also, just in my mind, just as equally is benefiting the community at large.
Love that. Love that. So Christi, talk to us more about some of the programs and some of the ways that the tools that are already in motion at the center.
Yeah. So our administration was super generous to us to go down the path of buying some high dollar, state-of-the-art equipment. So we have, anybody can come and do an assessment first off, because that's one thing that if you don't know where you're at with your fitness, sometimes that's the best place to start, is just to say, let's identify where you're at, and then let's set some goals that you can start going towards. So we can do a variety of assessments. You can be a super athlete, doing all kinds of things. We can test your VO2 max to, we can do any kind of body comp analysis. We can do your resting metabolism, and some of these really, I would say, hard to find tests, because you can get an Apple Watch and you can do some of those things, but the accuracy is dialed in for our pieces of equipment. So through
your tests, there's a more
they're dialed in, and the accuracy is there, and then it's they're all research grade pieces of equipment. So our goal is that hopefully we can do some research in these areas. But
cool.
But I think also, I could bring a baseball pitcher to her and say, this kid's throwing 78 miles an hour, and she can go, well, he has poor hip mobility. He'll never get there. Here are the next 5 things he needs to do over the next 6 months to increase his mobility so he can get hip shoulder separation. Until then, he'll never throw above that without causing some kind of arm injury. And that's important, right? I mean, that's athlete health, and that's prevention work as well.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, we got some really neat biomechanics equipment that, man, it's going to unlock some ideas for people of if I actually can see my movement and I can understand how hard my muscles are working. It's pretty cool. So assessments are one thing. Now we do offer personal training. We offer, we actually have a kettlebell class for folks over 50 right now. I actually love kettlebells. They're really awesome pieces of equipment.
Were you looking at me when you said that?
No,
over
I wasn't.
50? I feel like you were.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, that's right. We actually have been, we have a postpartum women's exercise class to try to help women recover from pregnancy. And that's been really successful. I've been enjoying that. We partner with Heartline Pregnancy Center as well to try and engage some women that use their services. That's been really fun to meet people, try to get others engaged. We just started a class like this last Wednesday. So I was pretty excited about seeing all the ladies in there and just talking. And they were like, I know I could look on YouTube for things, but I'm in community and I really enjoy this time. So that's been cool. We've done some youth lifting class, like learn to lift as a middle schooler. And we partner with the Y on that. And then we also have a homeschool group that's doing some youth lift. And that's been really cool to see those kids try and really respond to correction.
Yes.
Because we had a kid the other day, he was swinging his arm to do a row. And I was like, hold on a second, let's get a lighter weight. And then let's try to really do this motion properly. And he immediately corrected and he was like, oh, I get it now. That's what I'm supposed to feel. And I'm like, that's it. That's it right there. We're trying to get you into the right movement to set you up for years to come of lifting properly. So we're actually doing a speed camp this summer.
Okay.
So that's fun. It's going to be late elementary to middle school. And I'm pretty pumped about that too. Who teaches how to run fast? You kind of have to get into the mechanics of it. But the kids usually that come are really excited about, so I'm supposed to put my foot this way, or I'm supposed to jump this way, or do, so we get them in some exercises and teach them about this is how we're supposed to run, and hopefully guide them into more fast, like speed things. Yeah. So I get really passionate about that, but we also do nutrition counseling for folks that want to dive into that area. And then, I got some other ideas that are coming up. A Better Balance program for anybody that's interested in improving balance, especially as they age. Wink, wink, Rick. Okay. We want to do some seminars too. So like educational seminars. So one of them that has come up and people have asked about is, can you do something on perimenopause or menopause and navigating that for women? And we're like, sure, we can put something like that together, host a seminar, introduce you to some other folks in the community that might specialize in that. And then, we're just getting creative, like ladies lift or, come in and try this. We did an open lift a couple of times where it's just like, hey, we have a program, come in and try the lift. Just try the equipment, just come hang out in the center. So we had a couple people come in for that.
So Christi, when we think about the broader community and they've got interest in, hey, I'd love to get engaged in some of these programs. First, just curious, is there a cost associated with it? And then what's the best way for them to connect with these opportunities?
Yes, there's a cost associated with our programs. So, but you can always look and see what that is. We've tried to make them pretty affordable for our community, but we are paying students. We are paying people to work in the center. And so, there's going to be a cost. But you can just go to our website, www.grace.edu. And then you search the Center for Movement and Wellbeing, it'll come right up, and then you can view our different programs. So, if you're also interested and you just don't know where to start, just email us at movewell.grace.edu or at grace.edu.
Great. Awesome. We'll put the graphic on the screen for people, but they can just reach out, engage. You'll kind of help them navigate some of that.
Yeah, we will. Totally.
No, what I love hearing from you, Christi, is very clear sense of just dreaming.
Yep.
And looking for what are the opportunities and filling in some of those gaps. So what would you say, and any of you say, how do we get the broader community engaged in this? Not just some of the folks that you already have in, but how do we help to spread some of this?
Well, something Christi just said that I'm like, I need to connect you. I mean, one of the number one risks in senior health is balance and falls, right? Injuries from falls.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, we can do, balance exercises and balance workshops. I'm like, let's figure out how to connect maybe the organizations or the locations that most work or seniors are located. And could we connect the dots where let's bring Christi or her team in to offer some of those things and see where it goes from there. Obviously the YMCA does a lot of work in that space, but that's an example of a lot of it is connecting the dots, right? This is a resource that's clearly growing quickly. That we want to utilize out in our community. And I think it's up to a lot of us that maybe know of other places that what Christi and her team and the students really want to do to contribute, find a place to contribute. I think that's exciting.
Yeah. Excellent. So again, love to hear from each of you briefly as we wrap up our time here today. What would you think if you look out into the future, the next few years, what does success look like to you in this conversation?
Well, I think for me, it's being transformational in our community, really making a difference in spaces where I think a lot of people can come around the college and some of the things and the opportunities, some of the large venues with the field house. We'll be able to do a lot more large venues. Hopefully we'll be able to break ground here later this month. And those things they have preventative influence. We can do large scale classes in those spaces. There's such opportunity. And that area of our campus is going to be wide open. You're going to have a bike park across the street. You're going to have treks that people are often walking on, and the tennis courts, and your 8 lighted pickleball courts, and and a field house there. And so I think it's the Center for Movement and Wellbeing is in the heart of all of that, right? I mean, to be able to identify some programmings and to really go after things and maybe people groups that get missed. That's transformation for me. Because that's what we don't want to see happen, right? I don't want to see people missing out on relationship and connection and movement. It's because it's not just about adding years to people's lives. It's about adding life to those years. How do we make that happen?
Yeah.
So
good.
Yeah. I kind of feel like there's an opportunity for a cultural transformation or cultural shift. And what I encounter most in the clinical practical side of my job is most people are just intimidated. And my goal, success for us is we've broken barriers for people. And so they're coming and they're saying, I'm ready to do it, but I don't know how, but I'm coming for help. And we're like, yes, come in. We would love to help you.
Yeah.
And they finally discovered, like, I don't have to be intimidated when I walk into a gym or into a facility. Like, it's actually there for me. And I can actually engage, and I'll do it safely, and I'll do it, and I'll meet people, and it just brightens their life, I think, is the right way to say it. And then they're like, I'm gonna bring my friends. And that's how community builds. Is you had this positive experience, and now you're like, I want others in my life to experience this positive thing. And my life is getting better because I've been engaged within a community that's centered on, hey, we want you to live well, right? We want you to experience this life that you might not have otherwise thought possible. And sure, you might have had a problem, or like we have a couple ladies in our kettlebell class. Neither of them have ever lifted weights before, right?
Okay.
So they're trying this stuff for new. We're really coaching them up. And I said, what do you guys think? Like, I just never thought this was possible for me. And I had a terrible knee, but now it feels better.
Wow.
My husband's going to come now because I've just raved about it. And I'm like, that's great. Like that. Yeah. I was like, thank you so much for sharing that, because tell your friends, this is what we want to do. But it was really, it literally lit my fire of like, yes, this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many more people can we engage and hopefully transform their life, So I see the vision clearly, but I'm just hoping that we can gain some momentum and that others will catch the fire that we're experiencing.
Well, personally, I feel like I've learned today together in that my golf swing, it's probably more valuable if I go see Christi than buy a new driver. I was thinking new driver. Yeah. Maybe I'll need to come into the center.
I feel like your wife will get behind that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I would say, I love the name of the center because I think movement is critical and leads to well-being. Just thinking about my 84-year-old mother who literally said, you have to keep moving or you'll die. And that's a harsh literal, but she's like, I have to keep walking. I have to keep moving. I have to get up. And I love, a lot of just the practical movements of life, right? Cleaning the house and, again, walking the dog or whatever. There's so many just ways to just keep moving. And that's what I would just say, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. But kind of the vision to me a little bit is the idea of educating each other on movement, opportunity of movement, and then movement happening in relationship. I think of those three elements as just so critical to really moving our culture forward, our community forward, in that we have to understand it better. We have to have opportunity to do it. And then we do it best in relationship, as Kevin said earlier. And I just think that, to me, that's the three-legged stool that really excited about where our future is going.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. This has been so good. Rich, I want to thank you and your team and your board, the way that you support initiatives like this. Dr. Roberts, Christi, thank you for the work that you all do, not only in training up the next generation and to do this work, but the ways that you've opened doors to our community to these solutions. We really appreciate that. And to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the All In Kosciusko podcast. At All In, we believe real progress happens when people, places, and partners come together around a shared vision. This conversation is a great example of what that can look like in action. To learn more, explore other episodes, and stay connected to the work that's happening across our community, please visit the All In Kosciusko website at allinkosciusko.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.